could trigger a nuclear winter that might kill billions, maybe even completely collapsing our civilization.
Papa, yesterday in school, we learned how our world is built on the foundations of past civilizations. But what if a nuclear war happens and wipes everything out? How would we start over?
That's a big question, my dear. If a full-scale nuclear war happened, civilization as we know it would collapse instantly. The first few years would be complete chaos, radiation, food shortages, disease. Most cities would be uninhabitable.
But let's say people survive. What happens next?
The first 50 years would be about survival. People would form small groups, families, tribes, maybe some organized communities. The biggest problem would be trust. People would hoard food, water, and resources, afraid to share. Survival instinct would take over, and violence would be common. Without law and order, those with power, strength or weapons would dominate.
That means knowledge wouldn't spread. If everyone is isolated, how would civilization ever come back?
Exactly. In past collapses, like after the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe entered the Dark Ages. Most knowledge was lost because people were too focused on surviving. It took almost 1,000 years before learning and science truly revived during the Renaissance. If a nuclear war happened today, it might take even longer.
But back then, people still had land, animals, and clean water. If nuclear war happens, radiation could make most places unlivable for centuries. What if there's nothing left to rebuild on?
True, radiation would be a massive problem. Places like Chernobyl are still dangerous nearly 40 years after the disaster. In a full-scale nuclear war, some areas could take thousands of years to be safe again. People would be forced to live in remote, uncontaminated areas, which means cities wouldn't be rebuilt for centuries.
But doesn't that also mean technology would be lost? I mean, the internet, electricity, even books would decay over time. If it takes 500 years before people can build big cities again, wouldn't they have to start from zero?
Yes. Knowledge would become fragmented. Without the internet, books, or universities, most advanced science would disappear. Think about it, if you had to build a computer from scratch without any existing machines, could you? Then progress is always intergenerational. You kids of today learn from existing infrastructures that has already been built by your grandfathers, meaning a collapse of these infrastructures would be difficult for your generation to rebuild.
So even if I remember how computers work, I wouldn't know how to make microchips or process silicon.
Exactly. Even basic things, like how to refine metal